Drama is just what we do.
Hi, this is Casey with Order in the Chaos. I'm so excited to share with you guys our first episode, which is blended families. So many people around the world are dealing with this type of situation, and we feel that it's time to really talk about it. Today we have our special guest, and then we have our panel with Mr. Ricky Johnson and Dr. Davion Wallace, who's going to keep it juicy for us. They're going to throw in some very thought-provoking questions that I think will help a lot of people grow. So join me as we begin to start ordering some chaos. So we're just going to dive into it, you guys. We like to get questions from the world, social media world, and we know that blended families is a very, very hard topic. A lot of people are not talking about the issues and downfalls of a blended family, which I believe is a result in why so many people are in breakdown when it comes to trying to blend it. So we're going to just get right into it. So the first question that we got was, what do you think is one of the most challenging aspects of a blended family? And we want to go ahead and ask you, Ms. Ashley, on what do you think is the hardest challenge of the aspect of the blended family?
I think the toughest challenge is really taking what you are used to doing in your own home and then having to combine that with a completely different individual, different child. They were raised differently already, so you're kind of coming into the middle of things. And so really combining that can be very hard because you have your rules, but they are now used to a different type of just environment and setting. So on both sides, there's a lot of compromising that has to happen.
Okay, what do you guys think from your perspective?
I think it's the value shift because everyone has their perspective and their beliefs, and it's how you blend them. Because at the end of the day, they're all individuals.
Yeah.
So you can be it's blending. So it's individual within. You have to come with like core values for the overall family that still respect that individual person.
Awesome. Anybody else? Any thoughts on what is the hardest challenge? When it comes to the blended family.
I agree with Dr. D. It's that core that you have to bring together. I kind of look at it as a family. If you were not a blended family and you had a child and the child grew up to be like 3 or 4 or 5, then you have another child. You still have to train that child
right.
in that environment. So that blended family, you got to bring it together. As if you that was another child of yours, and make that come together and make that family work.
Yeah. I want to go a little bit deeper with it because just seeing a lot of different blended families that I'm connected to, also just personal experience too, the emotional aspect of it.
That's good.
Yes.
That's good.
So how do you think that play into it when you talk about anger, jealousy, and things like that?
Yeah.
I feel like that is a huge contributor to, the challenge of blending together.
Yeah.
So can somebody
But
share on that?
before we share on that, can we define what blended is? Because I'm thinking blended could be a new relationship with
Yeah.
shared children. It could be
Yeah.
adoption. It could be foster care. It could
Right.
be like kinship, where now you're the aunt, now you're the mom. So
Okay.
can we define that? But we kind of like do the emotional side. 'Cause I think
Yeah.
that plays a difference in that different dynamic too. What do you define as a blended family?
Right. So in this aspect of basically two individuals coming back together or coming together to raise children that are not theirs, whether
Okay.
it's one party already have children or both parties,
Okay.
Yeah.
coming in. Because that's the reality, and especially with a lot of people that come into
Right.
different, classes and such. That's usually what that dynamic look like.
Yeah.
And I think, so to answer the emotional side of it, I think the child is coming in a displaced place of hurt, misunderstanding, because most time the adults are not including the child in the conversation, so their emotions are not really valid at the point. So because the parents are in love, they're going out on dates,
Yes.
and the child's just over in the corner because they haven't been introduced into this. So I think that's where the emotional type comes in with the children, because they haven't been heard.
Yeah.
So do you think then, if that's the case, do you think that the children's emotional stability should be taken in consideration before choosing to be in a blended family?
Well, not really, not on the end of the blended family piece of it, but I think while you're going through the dating process, like, even though they haven't met your partner, I think they need to be included in the conversation. Hey, this is who I'm talking.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about them? How do you feel about me going out and dating someone? And I think that kind of gauges how you incorporate that blended
Yeah.
piece.
So let me ask you a question. If that's the case, we all know that children grow up, and 9 times out of 10 they move on. If that's the case, then how, children, they grow up and they leave, once they become 18. So do you really think a parent should base the decision on whether the child accepts that partner or not?
So no, I wouldn't limit it in that matter where I'm living my life based on your perspective. I just want to make sure you're in, so I can gauge where you are. Because if I make a decision because I feel like this is my best partner, I know that I heard your voice. Not limited to your voice, but I heard your voice.
Yes.
Interesting.
And I think it's very important when it comes to that is parents really need to, I think it's more so not about the child's emotional stability, which is important, but it's more so the adult's emotional stability. Because us as adults, we make things more than what it really needs to be. And so sometimes we're not at an emotional state where we don't feel the jealousy, where we don't feel the frustration of why doesn't this kid like me, or you know what, you're not gonna do this. And like, some of us come to it with a sense of entitlement. And we walk into it as this child should respect me or all these other things just because of this is who I am. And so I think the relationship needs to be healthy, first of all, because if you have a lot of unresolved issues, and I know that was my past experience of already having issues. So when you were bringing in children that are already not mine blood-wise, let's be honest, we can project our bad feelings onto that child, and that is just a reality. And so I think we do have to be really honest about our emotional health and, all of those different things. And we have to be aware of who our kids are too. I think we have to be honest of who our kids are. Some kids are manipulators. Some kids do just want their way, and so a lot of parents don't want to be honest about that. They want to make it seem as if their child's always being attacked. So I think it does really, at the end of the day, take two emotionally, healthy parents.
And I'm gonna go back to her point when she was asking, do you limit it to the child's perspective?
Right.
Because I know when my mom was dating, as my parents got divorced, you ain't my daddy, you can't tell me nothing.
Because they're wrong, right? You're a child, stay in the child's place.
And so I was like, in my head I'm thinking like, you ain't my daddy, you can't come and tell me nothing. You talk to her. Stay over there.
Yes.
So I understand that point too, because you like, that could be the love of your life, and because I'm just in my feelings as a child, I'm dictating how you live your life. But I get that point, because I was that teenager, like, man, go on now.
I think that's
So
a
did you
reality.
just reject everybody that came along just because they wasn't your father?
Well, I had father hurt. There was other things I was dealing with because my dad wasn't present.
Yes.
So just because I didn't understand why my parents weren't together, I blocked every man that came into my mom's life.
Yeah.
Come on
You
now.
had walls.
Yeah, I had walls,
And,
yeah.
You know, it's so interesting because my son, I've seen kind of, is dealing with that in this moment. Like, my daughter does very well with the blended family
Okay.
situation, but her father is very present.
Okay.
My son's dad just recently, over the last couple of years, is not very present. And my son, for the last 2 years that I've been in this new relationship, it has just now been to this point where it's kind of like his walls is a little down, and even still, he tries to make it known of like my voice is, and this is my mom,
Right,
you know.
right.
But I feel like my partner is emotionally mature, and then I know my kid too, so I can also be like, sir, call me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not gonna allow him to disrespect or to place him in a feeling of that just because I know it's his own feelings. Because
Yeah.
I know
Gotcha.
that. You know, I know it's not that he's being unheard or hurt
Right.
or anything like that. It's just like you said, that's a very good point of his father, real father missing. And I know he kind of has that question of like, you know. Yeah.
And that's the thing, that's the scary part to me. When you have an absent father, and you bring another man around your children, it's like they're looking at it like, okay, are you gonna leave too? So
And
they
that's
don't
how
wanna
my
open
son, I feel
up.
like he is. He tests him.
Yeah,
Like,
they don't
are
want
you
to open
here
all
even
the
if
way
I act
up
like
because
this?
it's like I don't know.
Yes.
What
That's
I'm
in the back
gonna
of our
get
heads.
from you.
It's there. It's like,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
are you gonna repeat the same trend? It's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
a thought. Yeah.
So because of that, when do you think is the best time to actually introduce another partner to your children? If you know that they have this in the back of their mind, like this might be a situation where he might leave. So I don't want to open up to them. I don't want to let them in my vulnerable spots. I don't want to, like when do you think is the best time to introduce a partner to your children?
I think, in my opinion, I think it depends on age. And also, I think it just depends on a factor of things. Age. I think for me, it was like a year. A little over, yeah.
So you
Probably
dated
like
for
right
a
about-
year before you actually introduced them to your children?
Yeah. So for me, it was about a year before I introduced my kids into the whole new blended family thing. And I think for me, my son is younger, and I feel like it's easier to come into a child's life when they're younger because they're tender. It's easier to come into their
Yeah.
life. On the other side, I met like my current, partner's daughter at a later than a year, but she's older.
Wow.
And I find that to be more difficult
Really?
than because someone smaller. My ex-husband, his daughter, I came into her life when she was small. Was really easy. I still have a relationship with her to this day.
Right.
But I think when a child has already known something for so long, now they're older, they got their own opinions, they have independence, and I think they even more so have that attitude of they don't really care.
Yeah.
Smaller child is kind of looking for that,
Acceptance,
that acceptance. They got a long ride with this
Right.
person,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So I do think it does. It really depends on age and just kind of the healthiness of the relationship too. And I think that was a big factor for me of
That's
making sure
good.
it was something that was solid because.
Right.
You
That's
weren't
good.
gonna walk into this and then,
Absolutely.
like,
Well, that's good.
So, yeah.
We're going to go a little bit deeper with that, but we got to pay some bills, so we'll be right back so we can talk about this blended family stuff.
As we travel through life, there are times we all could use a little help. However, as we search for the help we need, there are times we find ourselves at dead ends, stuck in the maze of life. With so much going on around us, moments like these may cause you to ask, who can you trust Who can you believe in? Who can you depend on to provide real-life solutions that have been proven to turn you into a better you?
Welcome back to Order in the Chaos. We are going to keep it going. We have been talking about blended families, and I want to go ahead and ask from a male perspective, because Diana was asking, when do you consider a good time to introduce your children to the new person you're dating? So from a male perspective, when do you guys think it's a good time?
So I'm going to say from the clinical side of it, because I don't have any children, so I don't know how that would introduction do. But clinically, males never are given the voice on when they introduce the child.
Wow.
Because it's always the mom has the rights. The mom has the permissions. So
Wow.
males not really given that place to even say, oh, I'm in a relationship, can I introduce the children? It's always what the mom dictates. So from the clinical side of it, males don't have a voice when it comes to a blended family.
That's
Right.
an issue.
Wow.
But-
Wow.
Yeah, but with me, I have a son, and I got to introduce my son. But I don't think there's a particular time. You just got to gauge it. You know, I watch it, but I had to talk to my son and let him know where I was in the relationship, or if I even had one. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing that I think we have to do. We got to communicate to our children before a lot more before we introduce them to that other person. And so I heard Dr. D say, well, you know, that's the hurt, and that's where that hurt comes from. But I believe also that from adults, we do have hurts ourselves.
Right.
So if I'm coming from a hurt place,
Yeah.
she's coming from a hurt place, she's coming from a hurt place, have we discussed our hurts
Wow.
amongst one another?
On an adult level.
On an adult level.
Yes.
Wow.
Because so right now they say, okay, the best way to get over is one to get one, and that's what we do. And you know what they say when you trying to get over someone, the best way to get over is to go get under. So you that's we're running from hurt. We're in a hurt situation, and we can't mend one another.
Yeah.
No less mend the children.
Yeah.
So if we can't mend one another and talk over our hurts, how do we know that they're hurting?
Yes.
Wow. So then that really builds on that emotional piece, because I have to embrace where I am presently.
Mhm.
Right.
And your children looking at you like, okay, it's not really me. and yeah, I'm hurt. Yeah, I'm hurt because because that's what's going on. But in the abandonment, look, when I first introduced my son to a girl, he was like, and like you said, no one takes the place of the mom.
Right.
Right.
And he wasn't going to give her a chance in hell. You know, so, but the thing about it, maybe I didn't communicate with him enough.
Yeah.
I didn't
To brace him into
embrace it. Yeah, embrace him into it,
Yes.
or even talk to him about her and what she was like.
The
Yeah.
transition.
Yeah.
And
You know, that helps. If you can talk to him, he or her, your child, about what this person like. They're like this and they're that. They're really good because they don't know what to expect.
Similar interests.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
So,
have no idea what to expect.
So when
You're right.
when you just throw them on you, they're like, okay.
Yeah.
You
And
need
so,
to
so
hurt
it's the
them.
adult, and it's the adult trying to make the relationship and continue to talk and try, but the kid don't know anything about them.
Right.
Wow.
So
and then I think when the kid don't know about them, and I believe if it's the other parent, whether it's the mother or the father, because of the space that they're in, the things they do hear about this person is negative
Right.
because of how that
Right.
parent
Exactly.
feel, because they are angry about something or
Right.
whatever.
Absolutely.
And I feel it robs that child of the opportunity to get to know what that really
Person
is like
Absolutely.
outside of those preconceived notions and
Yes.
thoughts, or because of an angry situation.
And it builds on that, because while we're saying this, I'm having this little conversation with children. Because the children, like, when children have a bad day at school, they have a fight with a friend. But did y'all have a talk about it? So what did you say? What did they say to you back and forth? And now you're a grown person that can't talk to your ex. And it's like,
Right.
Mom, but
Yeah.
Right.
have you
Right,
talked to
how
her
do I
about
talk
it?
to
Yeah.
them? Yeah.
And they're sitting thinking like, but this is what you tell me. And
Right.
because out of fear, we don't talk to our parents that way. We're just like, but that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it also, like how you said, in that situation, they have this preconceived notion about the other person, and then you weren't honest with your child in a lot of situations of where you were at, what you were doing.
Yeah.
So not only are you hurting the child, but then that new person who's in the blended family, and Lord forbid if they have kids too, you are now bringing in a whole mess of things on them as well.
Yeah.
Because now the new parent, the blended parent, is feeling rejected. Though her children or his children in that situation may also feel rejected too, because they may be at a space of, for some kids, like with my situation, it's like two sides have kids. So these kids are like, oh, excited. They may be at a healthy state of, it's another sibling or whatever. But because you're not as honest with your child on that end, your child wasn't as prepared for that, it's projecting off to them as now their idea of this whole blended family is completely different. So now both sides of the kids just feel.
In that same breath, like you said, they're feeling rejected. But the thing is, the dynamics is rejection. The other parent, you both have been rejected by your previous person. So you coming there feeling like rejected. So when a child does something really minor, you feeling rejected because man, you know what? I'm trying to make this work. This is the best I ever done with this one right here. I mean, he can't see that.
So hold that thought, Ricky J. Hold that thought. We're going to pick this back up when we come back. We'll be right back, and we're going to get deeper into this rejection thing with this blended family.
As we travel through life, there are times we all could use a little help. However, as we search for the help we need, there are times we find ourselves at dead ends, stuck in the maze of life. With so much going on around us, moments like these may cause you to ask, who can you trust? Who can you believe in? Who can you depend on to provide real-life solutions that have been proven to turn you into a better you?
All right, we're back. Order in the chaos. Before we went on break, we were talking about rejection. So I know that you were talking about how it's rejection from both sides.
Right.
If you can, let's start there. Let's just dive into that.
What I'm saying is just everybody's rejected. As the parents come in and they enter another relationship, whether they've been rejected by the prior relationship, everybody's been rejected. So they got that mind frame, and also they got just that hurt. So when you coming in like that and you haven't taken care of that rejection with your other partner, it's going to create rejection with the kids as well. And you can't say, okay, I don't know why you're rejecting them as well. They're looking at you because you hadn't gotten over your hurt. So the kids, most of the time, kids go off your vibes.
That's very true.
That's true.
You don't even have to say anything.
And kids are smarter than what we think. They pay attention to more than we think we know. I believe there'll be a lot of parents who believe that they're shielding their kids from stuff, and they know just as much as they.
They actually make it worse.
It's that conversation we say about generational limitations because of what we grew out of. Our children have voice when we grew up. You just a child, go in another room. Grown folks over here.
Right.
So now our children are more advanced in technology.
Right.
Like if we listen to our children and get out of the mindset of that generational limitation, you're just a child, you should be seen, not heard type of thing. We'll learn from our children, but because most of us still live in that past, how our parents raised us. So we self-impose down on our children, but they're very intelligent beings.
You're a child, you don't know anything, don't talk like that. But in reality, they know. They really know, and they pick up. They pick up, like you said, like on those vibes and those emotions.
And so, like on that rejection, so if that's happening in the rejection within your home, then you would have to try something else to see what's going on, so get some more information. Like if you go to what about the child's birthday parties?
Yeah.
You know, you go there, you with holidays. See what happens then. I mean, and see what's going on with. You can actually see what's going on with the child if you have gotten yours resolved.
Yeah.
But if you hadn't gotten yours resolved,
It's
it's
not
gonna
Yeah.
work. It's just not gonna
Yeah.
work. You gotta talk it over with your ex or wherever it is, with the psychologist, whatever it is. You gotta talk it over and get that out.
So
Yeah.
do you believe it's safe to give yourself a grace period between going into a relationship?
Yes.
Like it's healthy to do
Yes,
that?
it's
Absolutely.
very healthy.
Definitely should.
Even if
Yeah.
the ex doesn't participate, if they not participate in the conversation?
Yeah,
If they want to talk to you, they didn't block you and everything?
Definitely,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys. When it does come to like the birthdays and the holidays and things like that, and you have a kid who they want all parties to be there from their biological parents, and then they also want their step parents, whether it's one or two, there, but because adults are not in a good space and they know that, you know, they don't want to come, what would you advise for the adults to do in that situation? The kid want everyone to be there, but because of the drama with the adults, how do you make that happen without ruining that child's birthday or whatever holiday?
So with the scenario given,
Mhm.
if the parents are not mature, I think it needs to be scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
So because I mean, you don't all have to be there at the same time,
Yeah.
but you're present.
That's
So
smart.
if mom and daddy can get along, daddy need to come at this time, mama need to come at this time, stepmom need. It has to be scheduled because if it's everybody has to be present and that's what the child expects, and y'all can coexist in a orderly manner. Y'all need to come at staggered times,
Yeah.
and the child still receive what they need because you were present.
Yeah.
That's good.
You didn't stay long, but you were present. But
Right.
and that's only if you can't coexist.
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion.
Because if
Yeah.
that continues like that, every party, every holiday, you'll never get anything resolved.
Resolve it,
You know,
and
because
then
you
you're gonna
know-
have somebody else in your business because
Yes.
the cops gonna come.
Yeah, right.
They coming.
You're right.
And you know what? But I think like that's so true. But it's for me. I'm glad that hasn't ever had to be like my experience, not being able to coexist, because I think that is so sad when we
Yeah.
can't even just be in a room, you know, together. And I think that, like you said, it goes back to dealing with your hurts
Mhm.
as a person, you
Mhm.
know, because then we're projecting it on to
Right.
the kids. And if you are not healed, if you have not dealt with that, then it makes it very, very hard. So I
Yeah.
think like dealing with our hurts it's such a big thing. It's
Yeah.
such a big
And
thing.
then can we add a scenario? So we said if the child wants everybody present, right?
Yeah.
What if the child sends that invitation and it's only to their biological mom and their biological dad, but the bonus parents are not invited?
Mhm.
How do you handle that situation?
Interesting.
I think
That's
it
deep.
depends on I think it depends on the place of the relationship too. Because I feel like that's kind of a child trying to create strife.
Okay.
Which, let's be honest, why is that child trying to create
Right.
strife?
Go a little
Because
deeper.
one of their parents
Right.
has taught
Planted that
them,
seed.
have planted
Planted
the
the
seed
seed and
that
it
you
grew.
create
Okay.
strife, or
Right.
someone was
I
not
get it.
honest
Yes,
about the
but
beginning of the relationship
right.
or how things transpired.
Yeah.
And so I really feel like now if we're married, that's a whole new ballgame. So it's kind of like, what are your rules? Because my morals is I'm your wife at this
Okay.
point.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
So
their dynamic.
biblically, I
You
come first.
Yeah.
Disregard the child's feelings and
It's-
and you know
Take
what
me
the
to a whole
child
nother place
wants, what he.
I
I
don't
just
think-
got chills on that one.
Because this is real.
No,
stuff.
it's
It
real.
happens.
And I can say, I don't think you disregard the child's feelings, but I can say because I've been on both sides. I've been a bonus mother, but then I've also had to be the baby mama where my child has a bonus mother in their life. And I will say that because I've been a bonus mom before, if my daughter's bonus mom did that with her, and my daughter did something like that, I wouldn't feel a certain way about it. And I wouldn't necessarily feel like she's disregarding my child's feelings, but I do think there would have to be a conversation
That's the
had with
part.
the child of, listen, this is the dynamic of our home.
Mhm.
This
Right.
is what our core values
Okay,
is.
right.
If I have a biblical marriage, then I have to it's a teachable moment for
Yeah.
my son
Absolutely.
and for my daughter
Right.
to let my
Absolutely.
son know, if you are married and you are in this situation, God says for the way that I do things is that it's him and then your wife, and you have to learn how to balance these things.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this is also a teachable moment, because at the end of the day, those are consequences that we have to face because we have blended families.
Yeah.
So we can't be mad at the
we gotta take the
consequences.
accountability.
And our kids have to deal with the consequences, and we have to. And so maybe, hopefully, we will make better decisions. But unfortunately, this is just the way it has to be.
Right.
I agree with her.
I
It's just,
totally
you just got to acknowledge the kid. You know, this,
Yeah.
like Dr. D said, he's over there and he feels rejected. And it's got to be an inclusive kind of thing. Let's be included. But you don't have to necessarily do what the child says, but acknowledge the child's feelings about it. You communicate it, just like you said. Okay, this is what's going on. This is what this is with this belief system. This is what we're going to do because what? Because one day you may grow up and it may happen to you. We don't want it to happen.
Absolutely.
But this is how you do it according to my belief.
Right.
As like you said,
it's
being
not-
married.
It's
So you
not
got to
showing,
talk
it's
to
not
them.
showing that seed of toxicity.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
if you would have went in and just bashed the child because
Right.
you invited this happen,
Right.
it's creating that same scenario of
Right.
why we can't get along and coexist.
Right.
Exactly.
And so you put them to the side, you had a teachable moment, you shared,
Right.
this is what we believe, this is why we're
Right.
doing it. They have something they can build from.
Right.
And then that way, if it happens again, cool. The child don't have any hard feelings or pressed of making the invitation or having the false hope and understand this is how to operate. And then they're able to communicate with the other parent,
Right.
that bonus parent. Well, this is how we're going to do so. Mom has to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Because this is how we
That's
do things.
good.
And if you don't feel comfortable with that, then we can't participate. Or we need to do something separate where we can't be, it'd be one-on-one. So that
Yes.
it gives that child that conversation on how to handle it. But
Handle it.
now you're the one making the plans. So
Right.
when you communicate, you need to communicate how our house operates.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Now we gonna come back to that on the importance of establishing that understanding from the beginning. But we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back.
As we travel through life, there are times we all could use a little help. However, as we search for the help we need, there are times we find ourselves at dead ends, stuck in the maze of life. With so much going on around us, moments like these may cause you to ask, who can you trust? Who can you believe in? Who can you depend on to provide real-life solutions that have been proven to turn you into a better you?
So prior to going on the break, we were talking about if the kids are wanting to invite the other parent, the bonus parents, to their birthday parties and such. And it was also, you were sharing about how the seeds that's sown can play a big part in how they will even feel that way in the first place. So I do have a question for you to pick back up on that thought. What if you, when we talk about these core values of being discussed about this is what happens in the way that we operate here, and sure at the other parents that's how they operate. What if in one household they believe that communication is important and including the children and expressing themselves to it is important, but the other parent don't want to include the children at all? How
Right.
do you blend that way?
So
confusion.
So it is confusion, but that is yet again for adults to be mature and understand the children's place. Because as they go out in a different home, you recognize that child's in the conversation when they're at your house. So if this house is all about communication, well, that child's going to say, well, mom and them over there don't do that.
Right.
So when you're planning things, you're going to already have in your mindset that's not going to have us operate when it's communicated to that side. The child's voice is not going to be heard, so it's going to be you and that parent going back and forward compared to how you communicate with the child and include them. But that's the maturity of the adults.
Yeah.
And most time, our initial question was emotional, the emotional side of it. We're not emotionally ready.
Right.
And so we're not even thinking, oh, that's how I operate on that side. How do I bring the child in? How do we coexist? Because this is what is happening. We don't think farther than the plan.
Right.
Yes.
So what is the plan? Because I mean, really,
Yeah,
what,
right.
like, what is the plan?
I
Like, it's the
think that's
plan
the big
for
thing.
that is
You
the big
have
thing.
to. I think that's the problem. We don't answer
We don't
that
have a
question.
Right, we don't answer questions. We don't put steps in place.
Right.
We don't have a plan. So nobody is, hey, let's go to family counseling
Yeah.
to make
We're
sure.
just on a high.
We're
But-
not
so-
growing as
so-
a family.
And so what I'm gonna say is,
That's good.
and so we're using. So you said plan, thinking plan as overall plan for how we operate. I'm thinking plan because I'm thinking about an event. We're saying the same words, but we're in two different spaces.
Two different spaces.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But even still,
Yeah.
what's the
Well,
plan?
that's what I'm saying.
Because
So
again,
it's
it has to start from the beginning.
Right.
If we had a plan from the beginning, how are we going to coexist? How are we going to co-parent when we bring another person into this, blended family?
Mhm.
What's the plan?
So I think it's maturity because first of all, am I doing stuff just so that I can be putting stuff to make the other person
Feel
agitate, feel
bad,
bad,
yeah.
or am I thinking about am I really gonna blend?
Yeah.
Right.
Am I coming from a
With the
place?
right mindset.
Am I coming from a healed place,
Yeah.
or am I coming
There
from
you
a
go.
hurt
Hurt
place?
place.
Ooh,
That's
And
the
I
plan.
think that it's,
Come on now.
at the
Yeah.
end of the day, hurt people hurt people.
That's
So
the
we need to
scenario.
be coming in from a healed place. And like for me, because I had been in a previous marriage that failed and it was a blended family, like for me now, what is the plan? That is
And
my
what is the
favorite
plan?
line, because
Now-
I'm like,
yeah.
you have to let me know. We need to know, because we have to grow. We're not going
Right.
to stay stagnant. We're not going to
Absolutely.
avoid the hard conversations.
Absolutely.
I
It's-
think that's the problem.
Yeah,
that we
because-
don't want to have the hard conversation.
And we try to protect our kids, but I love like what you
try to
said. It
protect
goes back
ourselves.
to you, like
That
you said.
part.
The reality is we're all rejected,
Yeah.
so we have
Absolutely.
to get over this. Well, I don't want them. We're gonna feel like this, and I'm gonna feel like. I think a lot of times everybody's feelings is too much in it,
It's too much, and then it's
and
the,
we forget that we all have feelings.
the feelings that and it's not just the
Agreed.
feelings.
That's not
We
because
all
We don't
of
even care
our
about the feeling
feelings.
piece of it. It's the accountability part.
Yes.
They're responsible because this is the
You've
sin.
created
This is what
it.
you created because now whatever happened that y'all broken up.
Yes.
It might not be sin, but what y'all didn't stay together and that wasn't the original plan. You gotta accept the
You have to accept
And that-
every
the outcome.
every
Outcome,
decision
yeah.
that you make have a consequence,
Right.
whether it's good or bad.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that's
So-
where the feelings come because now I have to sit here in my mess
Yes.
and embrace it. And I think that's where the healing comes because when we move forward, like you said, I have, regardless if it's I'm gonna hurt your feelings in this moment, we gotta have this conversation.
But this is the
you
way
know
it
what
is.
it's like. No, I gotta sit here because I
Exactly.
learned from my experience that I gotta ask
Absolutely.
these questions.
Yes.
And that's where the plan comes because now we're sitting here. I know what my expectations are from this situation. These are
Yes.
my expectations. Are we gonna meet them or not?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Come
Yes.
on.
you
And
see-
we have to find a common
Common
ground.
ground.
Common
Yeah.
ground.
I think
yes,
everybody
compromise.
has common
Yeah.
common ground, but
Yeah, go that way.
Not
I-
everybody want to walk on it, though.
yes,
Yeah.
though.
That
Not everybody want to walk,
Walk
on
on
the common
it. Yeah.
ground.
Yes.
But the reason why is that what do you feel about your accountability?
Yeah.
It's how do you feel? What do you feel about what the truth? Or is it the truth? What do you feel about the accountability of this relationship, opposed to what the kid want, or what you have in your heart, in your mind, and is it hurt? What do you feel about that? Do you feel like I need to get myself ready? I
Right.
get myself healed? Or what? Sometimes you got to step away, even
So you
in the
can
midst
see.
of the relationship.
Yeah.
Step away and say, okay, maybe I need to get myself healed. Let that relationship stay over there, okay, and just do this right here. I got to do me. I got to do me, and so I can get my child ready. So when we get over there,
Right.
we can be in
we can
that
be
one.
in a healed
And
And I want to add in on
And I
that word accountability because we misuse it a lot.
Yeah,
Accountability, people use manipulation, but the word accountability is really responsibility.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's
Come
you
on.
stating your account
That's
of
good.
your ability.
That's right.
It has nothing to do with the other party.
That's right.
It's you giving an account of your ability. So when I come in, I'm
Right.
only stating what your account was.
Yes.
Wow.
Of
Right.
your own ability.
Yes.
It's
Wow.
not
Right.
it has nothing to do with me. So
Right.
that's the thing people say, oh, I gotta get me an accountable partner. Well, that partner is not really for you to throw your your weight on them.
Yeah. Right.
They're just regurgitating
They're just
a
watching
account
you.
of your
What you
ability.
said
Come
you wanted to do.
on, that's
It's
good.
your account.
It's your
It's just
account.
like you go to the bank and you got
Talk,
some
sir.
money. You put some money in the bank. That's your bank account. It's got your name on it, not your
Right.
spouse's name on, not your
Right.
becoming spouse name on it. It's your stuff.
Right.
So you gotta go in there. You gotta go in there and deposit and withdraw, deposit and withdraw. You gotta make that
And when the
process
bank sends you
work.
that statement, they're showing you what's in your account.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
Nobody else.
Nobody else.
And
Come
I think
on.
the biggest
I
thing
wish they did, though. I wish they did.
Yes.
Like Donald Trump.
And I think the other big thing though too is I think this is the thing we're scared to do is what if we really have to answer the big question of are we really even ready for this?
Yeah,
That
this-
part.
Can we really even do this? And I wonder
You're
if
so
I know
right.
times
I
where
know.
I should have
You're
answered
so
the
right.
question. The answer was no.
Wow.
And so how do we, get to, and I find this even for men, I think I
Yeah.
kind of have this question from a guy's perspective, is one of the hardest things I think I find for parents is, especially with men, when they are coming into a family where the other woman has children, they have a child, but they don't have their child full time.
Mhm.
They feel like, well, I can't be a father for this person because I'm being their father more mainly than I am my own child.
Right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
how
That's
do you,
a
and that
big
makes me
problem.
feel like,
That's a big problem on
but from a
several
man's
different
perspective,
areas.
I
Yeah.
would love to,
Yeah.
Yeah, like how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
When do you feel like you're gonna pull back from the kids that's in the home because your kid is not
Yeah.
there? Because a lot of times that's what happens.
Yes.
And or do you feel like you need to overcompensate for the absence of being in the physical home with your child?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's where you are. You always got to take account where you are.
Yeah.
Again, you can't. Am I doing this like you said from a hurt
Place or a hill
yeah,
place.
a
Yeah.
real place? How do I want to do this?
Right.
And then if you can be true to yourself, then I wouldn't pull away from that. That's in the child that's in the household.
Yeah.
Whether I'm having a relationship, I don't have a relationship with my son or not. I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm the father.
Yeah.
Now, me not having a relationship with my son could be that other person's
There we go.
Yeah.
holding it back.
Yeah.
And that's the maturity thing. That's
There we go.
that's the maturity of an adult. You gotta account for you. Them over there, if you can't do it, if you can't change it, you can't do it. You do what you need to do in that household.
Right.
Yeah.
If you decide that you want to go and you want to pursue that, that's what you
You have
do.
to open your mouth
Yeah.
about it.
Even if the other
Like
The other
other
parent
parent
might not.
Oh, now if the other parent is not allowing it,
That's
yeah.
the difference.
That's
Yeah,
a
that's
difference.
different.
But what if your wife is not including your children
say-
that's outside of the home?
Yeah.
Because
That's
for
conversation.
budget wise or whatever it might be,
Oh, yeah.
because these kids are here, it's like
Then we-
they're always planning according to
To
the
what's
kids
present.
that's
Right.
what they see.
That is hard.
But
though.
it's a
That is
conversation
hard.
to be had
Yeah,
because
you
Yeah.
have to have the
It's
conversation.
gonna
have
take
to have
a-
the
you gotta say,
conversations.
baby, now you got
Yeah.
2 here, but you forget about our other 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
It's because you're so in tune with what's happening.
To
What's
me,
what
happening.
but you know what? To
I
me,
would
that's
never do
something on
that.
a deeper level.
Okay.
In
for
my
the wife,
opinion.
yeah,
It
me
is.
too.
That's something on a deeper level
Yes.
because why would you ever even dare to think to do something
Exactly.
like that? Now it's one
Why?
thing if over time it's established that they can't go, but even in that you would still confirm to make sure before you just go and plan.
Exactly.
And then if you have that relationship with those kids, you wouldn't do that anyway. And even if you didn't, because the love you have for your husband will
Yes.
impact how you
Exactly,
the love
how
you have
you
for
treat
those
his
kids.
child.
Even if they don't want the relationship with you, that love you have for him is just going to spill
Supersedes
over.
it.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
to
And I-
me,
It circles back to
You always go back to that.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
hurt, that female.
Yeah.
that's
That's
what,
it.
yeah, that's
Because
that's the
at the
difference
end of
though.
the day, too,
End
you
of the
have to
day.
look at it. If she, the wife, I'm sure you want him going on vacation with your children.
Right.
So how would you feel if
If it was
the
a-
shoe
it's
were
about
on the
have
other
a
foot?
conversation.
So if it's not in the budget for the other kids to go, it's not in the
It's
budget
not-
for nobody
Ma'am,
to go.
come
So
on. That's
can't
the part
nobody
right there.
go.
That's what I'm
So
talking
we
about.
don't have
It's
money
for.
for nobody.
It's
You
for.
shouldn't
It's
have
for.
had all those kids.
Well, it's
Absolutely.
6. It's 6 of us. It's no
Right.
kids, 2
That's
adults.
what I'm talking
It's 6.
about.
Period. Point blank.
That
Right.
should automatically
Right.
included.
Right.
But
Even if your
that's the
kid,
part.
even if
You
your
made your
kid,
bed, lay in
yeah.
it.
But it
And
it goes back.
Like-
You're lying somewhere in our conversation because if that come out in a conversation,
Yeah.
you lied to me, and we need to talk about that.
Right.
I got caught. You lying somewhere, ma'am.
Wait a minute.
We didn't talk about it enough.
'Cause I was
Look,
saying
look,
my
if
2,
you
you were
don't,
saying your 2,
Yeah.
and we were on the same page.
it
We gotta
goes
go right
back to
revisit.
that. That's how deep
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
you're saying. It's deep. That's
But-
where
but
That
it
is
recognize
because
have to go
those
back to
and it
something.
happens.
Yeah.
It
in
happens
today's
every day,
world.
and
Yes.
it's sad because those children
So-
will grow up to resent each other.
Let me-
And their siblings.
Wait, wait,
They're-
yes.
they're-
Let's
they're
throw a little
siblings.
signs in here. Throw a little
Yeah.
signs because what I was gonna say is it's not intentional, but because we live out of our subconscious mind,
Mhm.
which 99% is past experiences.
Mhm.
Even though we're
Wow.
not doing it and just being spiteful, it's a stored memory. So
Mhm.
our brain takes us back to that moment, and so
Yes.
when we're planning, it's only 2 kids in the house. Our brain
Right.
does it without us even challenging it. So that is naturally happens because that's how our brain works.
Right.
So we always have to be conscious of what we're doing.
Yeah,
we're planning
practice
so that if we're not, okay, we have 2 children here, oh, but yeah, we do have 2 other children. So sometimes it couldn't be her space. It could be just that it's a trained memory, I'm conditioned to think.
But over and over though, Dr.
Yeah, over and over.
I just said I'm gonna throw a little sign.
That's
there.
okay.
Throw a little sign.
Right.
Now
over
you
and over.
play it. But that's good.
Right. I
Okay,
feel
you-
that on the first 2 times.
Yeah.
Right, I might let you
Year after
slide.
year for 10 years.
You
Now,
know,
now,
you
now,
know.
now that is now after 10 years,
No.
that's a habit.
Yeah, that's a
but
habit.
Yeah,
That's
but
a-
I,
all right.
I just want to throw a little sign.
Right.
I don't
I
even
got
think
you.
we lasting 10 years, and my kids is not going on vacation. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was good, you guys. With just understanding the whole complication of blended families, I hope that all of you that were watching today got something and challenged you in a way that you would want to do things differently to just create a better, healthier family. Because at the end of the day, the
For sure.
children need it, the adults need it.
Yes.
We just need more peace. We need healthy relationships. And most importantly, we're raising up a different generation, and we want our kids to be in healthy spaces. And it's based on what their environment is, what their foundation is. So if they grow up and they ain't nothing, guess what? They was built on you. Not just
Hey.